Hello to everyone and welcome on this YouTube channel, School for All. If you are discovering this channel through this video, let me present myself very fast. I'm called Paula Eve, a computer science and ICT teacher. So today we are going to start with a new chapter, C programming, which is a very important chapter in the computer science or ICT field. So the aim of this video is to break down this chapter in such a way that anyone looking this video from start to end will gain something good. So I'm going to make a series of videos on the chapter, and each video concerning the chapter is talking about a particular concept, because generally what happens in C programming language, especially for the computer science student, is they are running to answer questions without having the base, or let me say without knowing the fundamentals of the C programming, without knowing concepts of C programming language, which is very important. That is why I'm going to break down everything for beginners to advanced learners. So this is exactly what's going to happen here. So if you have never studied C programming before, there is no problem. You are the right place. So here we are going to start together. Good. Now, so concerning the first video, as I was saying, I will be doing series of videos, meaning that concerning this chapter you'll be seeing part 1, part 2, part 3, and so on and so forth. So this is part 1, and at the level of part 1 we are going to talk about the introduction to C programming. Now, so here this is a document I've realized concerning C programming language, and normally with this document you can really study and you get everything. This document is detailed, so I've think about everything, and if you go through the document you'll be seeing there's some screen capture and so on and so forth. Good. So the aim of doing videos in fact is to explain concept, because sometimes a student can read and there are some concept is not able to get well. So the aim of the video is to explain everything. So just to tell you that you have all the resource to learn C programming language, so there's no problem concerning this chapter. Okay, so the first point here is my advice to student. So listen very well to the advice, because some students are very funny, like they will be looking the video as if they are, I don't know, in the cinema, or they are sitting at home looking the television. C programming language is not working like that. As you are working with C programming language, you must practice. Always practice. This one is not optional but obligatory. Why is it that you're supposed to practice? Okay, before that I want to explain something. So let me just move here. Now, before understanding why you're supposed to practice, the first thing is to understand the aim. Why is it that we are studying C programming language? Good. So you'll be seeing that before C programming language is what we call algorithm. And in reality, I'm not seeing the need of you studying C programming language without studying algorithm. Why? Let me just explain. So generally what happens? Algorithm is something we practice in everyday life, because each time you want to do something, you are following steps, you are following different steps, or let me say different instructions to attain your goal. Example, I want to cook rice today. So for me to cook rice, there are some steps I'm supposed to follow for me to have my final rice at the end. So this step that you are executing is what we call an algorithm. But there's one thing you're supposed to note concerning the characteristic. You can analyze that the step you are following should start somewhere and end somewhere. I hope you are together. So that is why if I want to define an algorithm, I'm not going to say it is a finite set of instructions executed to produce an output, or executed to solve a problem. So the definition is very clear. Now, but what's happening here is, at this stage, I'm taking this example of executing this step to cook rice. So you are seeing that you as a human being, you'll be executing all this steps, meaning you have all this algorithm into your head. So your head, or let me say your brain, is like the CPU of the computer, and you are able to interpret this instruction written in your native language. Because what you're supposed to note is that generally when we are writing algorithm, we write it based on the language we are understanding. Like if you're in the English section, you'll be writing your algorithm in English. Those in French school, when they are writing their own algorithm, they are using the French language. Those, I don't know, those Chinese students, when they are writing their own algorithm, they're using the Chinese language. Why? Because their brain is able to understand that. But now we move to the next thing. What happens generally is when we create algorithm, the aim is to automate actions. Meaning what? Example, if you want to calculate something like, let me just take an example, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus maybe 1, 2, 3, 6, something like that. Good. If I ask a student to add this, it's very clear that the student can take 1 minute or maybe 30 seconds to calculate this. Or if you take your calculator, you point this in less than 1 second, you have the result. So you are seeing that calculator you are using is executing an algorithm. So what the user doing? The user is just entering the inputs. The calculator process mean that when I'm saying that the calculator process, it means that there's an algorithm in that calculator that process it and produce the result. So you are seeing that the aim of writing algorithm is not for us to execute, but is to give it to the computer, and the computer normally is supposed to execute to help us solve our tasks. Good. But the problem is the computer cannot understand algorithm written in your own language. Because as I was saying, if you want to call the total number of languages that exist in the world, it's more than 1,000, you see. Good. So generally each country is having its own language. Like in Cameroon, someone can decide to write using his native language, especially those in the village. Let us say they're not understanding French nor English, but they are understanding by the dialect. So you see, example, the West region, I don't know, let me just take something like, I don't know, Bafusam, or let me say Bajun. You see, someone can decide to write his own algorithm using its native language. So you see that you have so many languages and the computer cannot really interpret all of them. That is why we have created what we call programming language. Good. Meaning that you'll be writing your algorithm using a programming language, and this programming language are understood by computer. Very important to know that. And concerning our chapter, the programming language that we are going to study together is what we call the C programming language. I hope it is very clear now, so that from there you are understanding why you are studying it. Meaning that the aim is what? Is to write this same algorithm but using another language. Good. We call that programming language, and the language that we'll be using together is what? Is C programming language. And in this case, what you'll be obtaining here, generally we are not more calling it an algorithm, but we call it a program. Or we call it, either you call it a program or you call it a code. So as easy as that. And there are some definition, and there are some questions like that. They ask what is a program. It's very easy. You can define it using your own word. Someone can say a program is an algorithm written using a programming language. Full stop. Another person can define a program by saying that it is a set of instructions written for the computer to execute. When you are saying that, you are understanding directly that you have written your instruction using a particular programming language. We have so many programming language. Good. But here was just an introduction to explain why is it that we are studying C programming language. Now, the next thing I want you to note is generally there's what we call low-level programming language, and there's what we call a high level language. Good. Just to tell you that, don't think that the computer is executing directly that code or that program you are writing. No. Generally, every day you are getting this word that the computer understands binary. Meaning that the computer understands only zeros and one. These zeros and one, we are calling it, either you call it binary language, mean that the language understood by the computer. When we talk about the computer, we are talking about the hardware part of the computer, like the CPU is the brain of the computer executing all instructions. So those instructions executed by the CPU are in the form of zeros and one. Note that very well. And this is also called machine language. And this binary language or machine language is a low level programming language. Never forget this. It's a low level programming language. Just that it is very difficult for human beings to write
using zeros and one directly. That is why they have created another programming language we call assembly language, which is just a programming language that uses some English keyword we call mnemonics. You see, so mnemonics here are just like some English keywords, in fact, mixed with some numbers. So generally, this is how they think of. You see, good. So you are seeing that this assembly language is also a low-level programming. It's also a low-level programming language. Meaning that when you are writing your code in assembly language, there is just one step of translation, because the final code executed by the computer must be in the binary form. So the language that come before, or let me say directly before, the binary language or the machine language is what we call assembly language. So when you're writing in assembly language, there is just one level translation, and we reach directly what? Machine language, which can be understood by the computer. But assembly language was also a little bit complicated. It was a little bit complicated. That is why in terms of generation, machine language is the first generation of programming language. Assembly language, the second generation, you see, which was also a little bit complicated, because by this moment programming language was not really meant for users or for software developer to create software, things like that. No, so programming language were used for something else, in fact. Good. Now these programming language generally were used directly by company for their specific tasks. Now, beside that, if you move now to the third generation of programming language, they have created what we call a high-level programming language. And at the level of high-level programming language, this is where we have all the different programming language used by users, including what? C programming language. So this is where we are. Now the next thing I want to mention here is at the level of, as you are writing your code using either a high-level programming language or assembly programming language, you are seeing that the computer cannot execute this directly. So there is something that must translate all these things into what? Into machine language or into binary language. So we call that language translator. Language translator. So a language translator is just a tool, or you say a software, that translates program written in assembly or high-level programming language into what? Into machine language, or you say into binary language. Good. Now we have different type of language translator. This is what we call assembler. This is what we call compiler, and this is what we call interpreter. Good. So the assembler is very easy. It's just a language translator used, in fact, to translate a code written in assembly language into machine language directly. Good. Now, but compiler and interpreter, they are used, in fact, to convert code from a high-level language to machine language, just that they are doing it differently. The compiler, in fact, is going to take all the different instructions inside your file, convert them all at once into another program written in machine language. Are we there? Good. Whereas an interpreter, what an interpreter is doing is, he's going to translate your code line by line, meaning that as he's taking the first line, he translates directly into machine language and execute, and the computer executes it directly, and he moves to the next instruction, and this is how it moves. So interpreter translates your code line by line, whereas compiler translates the code all at once. Good. Now the next thing I want to mention, which is very important, is the concept of source code and object code. It's very important to understand all these terms before we start C programming. Good. Now, the source code here is the original code written by a programmer. That original code can be in assembly language or in a high-level programming language. You see, good. Meaning that when you be writing your C programming language, that file where you are writing your C programming language, it is called a source file, or you just call it source code. Are we there? Now the object code here is just what? It's just the translated version of the source code by a language translator. Good. Example, a compiler. What happens here? So when you write your code in high-level language, you're having the source code. Now you're going to use a language translator like a compiler. So this compiler is going to convert your source code into what we call object code, and this object code now is the machine code. Good. And from the machine code now, there is another tool, in fact, that convert this into what we call an executable file for the computer to execute. So this is exactly what's happened. So all this term is very important to master it before we start with the C programming. Good. Now let me move back at the level of the note. I think I've explained all the different concepts.
So you can observe that C programming is just a language that you'll be using to write your algorithm. It's all. It's like you know how to write algorithm in English, and it asks you to learn French to write now your algorithm. So you're seeing that in this case you're no more learning how to write algorithm, but you're just learning the language that you'll be using to write that algorithm. So it's exactly that. That's why I was saying that it's not possible to learn C programming language without practicing. It's like you are learning a Chinese language without talking. It's not making sense. You never retain. Here it's the same thing. You cannot be learning C programming language without practicing.
And the next thing here is what? Introduction to C programming language. So what you're supposed to note at this level is C programming language has been created by a scientist called Dennis Ritchie, and the aim of creating C programming language was to build or just to develop what we call operating system. Good. So this is not a course of operating system. I think each and everyone following this video knows what's an operating system. So that was the aim of C programming language. Just that later on C programming language has been adopted like a language used for different tasks, and the reason here is very clear. It's because C is very fast, efficient, and give direct control over system resources like memory. Good. When I say direct control, it simply means what? When you're writing your program into C, there's no so many translation before the CPU can execute it. No, you see. Good. So there is another advantage in finding that it is close to the hardware of the computer. Good. So and C programming language is very explicit. When I say explicit, it simply means everything you want to do in C programming language, you need to write all the codes, in fact, or you need to precise all the instructions that will permit you to solve your task, compared to other programming language where there are some predefined function already existing that you are just using, in fact, for your task. You are not writing all the instruction line by line to solve your task. So learning C programming today is a door for you to learn other programming language, because by the time you master C programming language, all the rest of the programming language that exists become very, very easy. I'm talking about programming language that exists at the level of high level programming language. So it's very important to note that. Now, requirement for C programming. So what are some of the requirements you need to start programming in C? Good. So I think we are going to end here for today. So the next video we are going to talk about the requirement for C programming, and we are going to start directly with practical, because this is a practical lesson. So this first part was just the introduction for you to understand exactly what's happening and understand why you are studying C programming. So thank you. Don't forget to like the video. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe and share the video to those it can help. Thank you.